Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Of the various spiritual models in India, we can see two types which are somewhat far apart, and at the same time they have a common ground, a common philosophy, and also a common experience. However, in the external way of living it, they are very different. We have sannyasis and yogis. Many yogis are householders, and even among sannyasis, a number of them are living in ashrams or mutts, and though they are wearing ochre clothes and they are called sannyasis, they live like the householder, not that they have wife and children, but they have made a home, a spiritual home. And in the spiritual home, there are many obligations, many chores to be done, assignments of duties, and conformity to conventions, etc. But I am not referring to those sannyasis or ashram inmates. Ashram inmates are little different from a householder, but otherwise the life is very much like as in a family. Then those who should be called sannyasins in the sense of who have broken away completely from all the conventional forms of life, we sometimes come across such people on the banks of Ganges or in a road as a parivrajaka. They don't have anything. They just wander wherever they feel like going. They sit under a tree or whatever, and they don't have any books or library. They are guided only by a certain vision, a vision of, let me say, the Absolute. And they may have clothes, may not have clothes, may be wearing rags. They do not care for their outward conformity to anything. They may speak, may not speak. You cannot tie them down to anything that is required of a certain person to behave in a certain way. And some such people are sometimes called viraktas or udasis. But udasi as a sampradaya is different from a real udasi or a virakta. once I was in Vedant Niketan in Amritsar, in Punjab, and Swami Nirmalji, a very well-known Vedantin, he was conducting a Vedant Sammaran. Several thousands of people were coming there and taking part. From morning 5 o'clock till late 10 o'clock in the night, the functions were going on. And several Mandaleswaras and Mahamandaleswaras, Gurus, they were all present there. And behind the venue where these things were held was the original ashram. And behind that ashram there was a hill. So between the hill and the ashram is a kind of a backyard. And very rarely people go there. So I went there and I saw Nirmal Swamiji's guru sitting there. She did not know of anything that was going on there. All these days, all those many sammarans were going on. He was not the least interested in any of the conferences or the people or anything that was going on. He was not reading a book, he was not meditating, he was not doing anything, just sitting there. And he looks at the mountain. He sometimes gets up a little and walks around and comes again and he sits there. And although he was the guru of a very great Swami, he didn't care to put on any good cloth. He had some sort of a rag around him, and that was enough. And no one could go and make him change his cloth or put something else on him. He had such kind of an absolute sense of freedom. You may call that a sannyasi was given up everything. And I tried to sit with him because I thought that I would be more benefited by sitting near him than spending hours and hours listening to all those scholarly talks. But there is no social relationship with him. He just sits there or he walks. And sometimes like a child is willing to relate with you. He may look at you and give him a smile and you can smile back. But you know then, between you there is something happening which is not belonging to any kind of a social convention that you know. There you have the experiencing of a sannyasi. And when we come to one of the Mandaleswaras who is very well read, who knows all the Shastras, who knows everything about Yama and Niyama and Asana and Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, he can go into some state of Samadhi through his meditation. His life is a very ordered one. You do not see any imperfection in him. But that is all very well polished life. And we see such types who are living with their family also, and yet yogis. Of these two kinds, in this chapter there is an evaluation made between a sannyasi of the most free order, and a yogi who is conforming to all the ideals and values of the society. Spiritually, is one more advanced than the other or superior to the other. And if there is a kinship between these, what is the relationship? Natarajaguru in his commentary, he calls our attention to the 6 systems of philosophy. Sankhya is theoretical. Yoga is practical. Nyaya is dealing with the generalities, and Vaisheshika with specific. Purva Mimamsa is dealing with actions, and Uttara Mimamsa or say Vedanta is dealing with the vision of the Absolute. In these 3 parts, in the first 2 parts we see the posterior ones, the anterior ones are more of a theoretical, and the posterior ones are practical. And in the Mimamsas, Vedanta has a higher stress on the concept of moksha, whereas the Purva Mimamsa is of a utilitarian type. Now in the present chapter we find these 2 aspects taken. The pure idealist aspect, and where it is lived on a practical level. And that is one way of looking at this chapter. The other is the 2 extreme types or models we see, some of the sannyasi and the yogi. And in the sannyasi you can see also something heterodox, and in the yogi something more orthodox. Even when you take 2 great men like Sri Ramakrishna and Ramana Maharshi, you can see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna there is greater adherence to a religious way of living. And when it comes to Ramana Maharshi, there is less adherence, or almost now. He should break away from any convention. According to the situation in which at that moment he was placed, because his total emphasis was always only on one thing, the self, and not the Jagat or the society. And he took for granted that like a shadow that was also present there. But Arjuna is here belonging to a world where shadows also matter very much. It is in the shadowy world that he has to play his role. So he cannot be lifted out of the shadow too much, or he shouldn't be. So that's what I had to say by way of introduction. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam chashamsasi yachreya yedayoregam tanme bruhi sunichidam. This is again Arjuna speaking. This is the 5th chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Arjuna said, you recommend the effective transcending of action of Krishna, and again yoga also. Tell me, duly determined, which one of these two is spiritually better? See, from the third chapter onwards, Arjuna was trying to make Krishna commit to one of the two instead of glorifying both sannyasa or sankhya and yoga or karma. So here Krishna answers, that is why Arjuna says, you please, with a determined mind, tell me, you decide for me which is better. Sannyasa karmayogacha nishreyasakarahu upau tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyade. Now Bhagavan answers, both renunciation sannyasa and unitive action karma yoga have emancipation as their common effect. Of the two, however, unitive action is superior to mere renunciation of action. So in this verse, one may become a little confused or may have a misunderstanding. What is compared here is sannyasa and karma yoga. And then it is said, nishreyasakaro upau, the both of them will lead to emancipation. So that means they are equal. Sannyasa is equal to karma yoga. So the result is nishreyas. Of the two, however, unitive action is superior to mere renunciation of action. When you take the second part of it, one may think that he is saying that karma yoga is better than sannyasa. No, that is not what he said. He said karma yoga is better than karma sannyasa. So here, karma sannyasa is given in the sense of mere renunciation of action. And that is not the sannyasa which is referred to in the first part of the verse. In the first part of the verse, the sannyasa that leads to moksha or emancipation is mentioned. In the second, of merely renouncing action is mentioned. Between doing action unitively, not just doing action, doing action unitively, and also not doing it, doing is better. Jneyah sa nitya sannyāsayo nadveshti na kamshati nardando hi mahabāho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. That man should be recognized as a perennial renouncer, nitya sannyasi, who neither hates nor desires, free indeed from conflicting pairs of interest. O mighty armed Arjuna, he is happily released from the bondage of necessity. So a mention is made here of a sannyasi, a nitya sannyasi, a sannyasi who is always in a state of sannyasa. And what is his lakshana? How do we decide he is a sannyasi? He neither hates nor desires. You see, the hatred and the desire, raga and dvesha, which are given here, we think we know, but we do not. Or we know somewhat only, in a vague sense. Raga here means that our mind is colored in a certain way, colored in favor. That means we make decisions with a prejudice. Dvesha, we are conditioned or colored negatively. To keep oneself in a neutral center, it is effortless. But if you have not attained it, it's very difficult. How do you keep yourself at a neutral center? Not saying this side or not saying that side. That is possible only if you are constantly aware of an all-present reality. That should be a consistent, constant, deep, underground, so to say, experience. In the bottom of your heart, your mind, your consciousness, you are always perceiving the one. What is that one? This itself. But in our mind, we have made categories, the spiritual, worldly, etc. Are they there? They are there. Are they really there? No, they are not really there. It is here we make our mistake. What is there? That which compulsively make everyone accept their own existence. An extension of that existence can be seen pervading the whole universe. That alone is. Whether you call Atman or you call Jagat, both are only versions of the same. And it is that which you are continuously witnessing. And that is not limited. It's not limited to India or China or America or anywhere, because that by which you say it is by that you also say the distant star is. Or if you take a number of, this is about the existential aspect, if you take the value aspect, you say I like this book, I like this water, I like that glass, I like this room, I like this piece, I like this class, I like this world, I like the moonlight, I like the sunrise, I like my brother, my child. Each time our reference was to a different thing. But irrespective of the difference of all the things we have mentioned, the experiencing of liking could be related to everything. That priyam, that ananda is the Swarupa Lakshana. That means the unmistakable sign of the Atman. So in everything, you are always referring to the same Atman. But the word Atman misleads us. The word self misleads us. Because when you say book and glass, two words, and therefore two concepts are coming to our mind. This is called a Shabda Akara Vritti, which has also a Tad Akara Vritti. Glass, a Shabda, glass, sound, glass, name, glass. That brings to our mind an Akara. Akara means a form. Vritti, our consciousness assumes that vritti, that form. And that is called Shabda Akara Vritti. But here is a glass. And I am pointing to that glass and say, this glass. So here is a perceivable thing. It has a form. And therefore you say, Tad Akara Vritti. Vritti means modulation of my consciousness by which I recognize this glass. So here the Shabdakara Vritti has a correspondence to the Tadakara Vritti of the glass. The result is, in my mind, the duality of the Shabda and the Vishaya are annulled. They are cancelled out because they are made into a confection. So the name and the named are fused into one. But when you say the self, it's only a name for those who have not understood what the reference is to. It's only a Shabda Akara Vritti. And they look everywhere. They look inside, outside. What is corresponding to that? Nothing is corresponding to that. As nothing is corresponding to that, they fail to see a Tadakara Vritti for the Shabdakara Vritti of a word like Brahman or Atman. And therefore they relegate it from whatever is in here. So it must be something other than what belongs to the world, other than what I am experiencing. And this is a natural confusion, a natural mistake which we make. And therefore the Swarupa Lakshana of the self are three: Sat, Chit and Ananda. Although we never experience an existence without arousing in us a consciousness or knowing that existence has a consciousness or awareness, the plurality of the seeming things does not enable us to see the continuity of the knowledge. As the continuity of knowledge is not seen, we think that we are having a separate knowledge each time. The knower is here. And the known is a continuation of the knower. And knowledge is a continuation of the knower. What is known is not different from the knowledge about it. And the knower is not different from what he knows. But there comes a segmentation into three: the knower, the knowledge, and the known. The result is things become bifurcated. Not only bifurcated, they are vivified. So a number of things are seen. That is why when we say Atman, we do not see here. But there comes a stage where you see continuously that alone first, and then as a modulation of that you see Johnny or Kapur Sahib or anyone. The first thing is seeing Atman, the second thing is seeing Johnny or Girija. And when I say I see Johnny, I certainly see him in a shirt with a certain color, wearing glass. And that is when you see some cookies are made like fish and some cookies are made like a bird, and it is assorted in the same packet. You will find one looking like a bird and looking like a fish, and then looking like a snake and looking like a camel. But we know that it is one and the same stuff, made differently. And those children do not see that way, so they quarrel. They say, I want a camel, and I say, no, no, no. I want that camel, and I don't want this fish. It's neither fish nor camel. Similarly, the jnani sees first of all only the self. Self in its existence, self as the awareness, and self as the ananda. But there comes a falsification of that one, and the second part, that is the modulated part, that is the tadakara vritti of a vishaya. When that interferes, the priyam goes, or the priyam increases. Priyam means the love for it, or the enduring quality of it either increases or decreases. And when the enduring quality increases, then also that is segregated from the rest, and therefore the raga operates in alienating an identified consciousness from the totality. And when the dvesha comes, it is much worse, because the dvesha has the effect of darkening your consciousness so much that you totally miss the substratum. The Atma is completely ignored where dvesha is. And when it is completely ignored, then you are allowing this organism to take care of itself. The result is your nervous system, your conditioned nervous system starts dictating that. You start shedding tears and you shiver and you raise your voice and you start stuttering, and so many things are happening. So why do you go through all these things? Yeah, I am like that. Not you are like that. This is called ignorance. This is an ignorant state which has now taken possession of you. It's not your true nature. So do not try to hide under an excuse, but you should cure this disease. This is a disease. When the dvesha comes, it's a disease. So Narayana Guru says, Yatha Atma Vidya Sankoja Sada Avidya Bhayankaram. When the Atma Vidya, when your knowledge of the self shrinks, then the whole world becomes frightening. Bhayankaram idam shunyam vedala nagaram yatha. And then Bhayankaram, this becomes so frightening. Pishajavat shunyam. Shunyam means of no meaning. Vedala nagaram, like the city of some devils. All these things happen. But suppose you regain the sight of the self, then what happens? Then the whole thing becomes so beautiful, Bhagavan Chitrakaravata. As if the whole thing is a painting by the supreme artist, the great God. The God has created this beautiful, painted this beautiful world. That kind of a When appreciation comes, you see everything as one beautiful painting. So these are the differences. And one person who is constantly, continuously seeing all as the self, then he has neither dvesha nor kama. Sankhya yoga prathak balaha pravadanti na pandidaha egamapyastita samya ubhyor vindade phalam. The Sankhya and self-discipline yoga are distinct, only children say, not the well-informed pandits. One well established in any one of them obtains the result of both. So how are different the two models look? When you take the net result of it, it's the same. See, once I went to have a darshan of Jagatguru Shankaracharya of Kamakodi Pidam. And he is well known as a very spiritual person. But when I went near the ashram, I heard that Acharya Swami was very fond of sitting with and discussing spiritual matters with a householder. And the householder was living in a nearby Agraharam. Agraharam is where the Brahmins, they all live. So I thought if Jagatguru means world teacher, Shankaracharya was prizing the wisdom of a householder, I should certainly go and have darshan of him. So I went in search of him. And it was not a rich area, what we may call the lower middle class people. They all live in single, not apartment, but one building divided into so many rooms, and in one set of rooms there is a front door. So I went and knocked at the door. A girl came out. She must be about 10. And she received me with great respect. She did not ask me who I was. Her reaction was to go inside and bring some water to wash my feet. So I took that water from her. I myself washed my feet. And she offered me a seat. Then she asked, "Did you come to see grandfather?" So I presumed that grandfather must be this great man. I said yes. So she went inside and told that I went there. In those days I was not wearing an ochre cloth. I was wearing only one small piece of towel around me. He came out and he was having in his hand a tray with some ashes in it, some sandal paste, some kumkum, vermilion, and also some chandan, sandal paste. And then he showed it to me. So I took the vibhuti, that is the ashes, and put on my head. That's all I did. And then he knelt before me, just as he does to a highly honored sannyasin. I was so much embarrassed that he was maybe nearing 80. Such a venerated old Brahmin, highly respected, who was kneeling down before a boy like me. And so I stopped him from doing it. He said, I am not doing to the person here. You took ashes and put on your head. That means you are conforming to sannyasa. I am a householder and your path is sannyasa. A householder should always kneel down before sannyasa. So that I am doing. So I should not egoistically take it as a veneration given to me as a person. One institution was rather showing its relationship with the other institution. That is where the householder stands in relation to a sannyasi. So that was my first lesson which I got from him. And then he again made me sit and he also sat. If I went there as a brahmachari or as a grahastha, he would have been just freely teaching me. But as I was by indication conforming to sannyasa, he decided not to teach me. But at the same time, considering my age, my inexperience, my immaturity, he knew that I went there to learn some good things from him. So he assumed a very different role. That he started asking me questions which I myself might have asked him. And answer I did not know because I was very inexperienced. And then, just like explaining his question, he was elaborating the question, which was the answer to me. He was so much moved by that man's ripe wisdom and that absolute lack of ego. How a person can so totally efface his ego. Although I wandered all over India and sat at the feet of several hundreds of people, this old person always stands out in my mind. Someone almost equal to Ramana Maharshi or Andi Shankaracharya. But in those cases, they were all recognized as great rishis or acharyas. And he had no name, nothing. And to him it didn't matter. But that's the kind of yogi we're here. Such kind of a yogi and an acharya, they both get nishrayas. But he has not given up karma. He was still holding all the karma. Therefore, you can say the Sankhya and Yoga are not two paths. They both are the same. And if you know it, then you know it. Otherwise, you don't. Yat Sankhaihi prapyade sthanam tyad yogaihir abhigamyade egam sankhya cha yogam cha yap pashyati sapashyati. We have here a representation of two set of people climbing the mountain on which there is a beacon, there is a great light. On one side is a person who is capable of climbing just as one stretch. He is a sannyasi. And on the other side, that person wants some aid like a road, a path, which makes it not so steep so that he can have many camps before he reaches the top. Their methods may vary, and he takes probably his wife also with him. Or sometimes the wife could take the man with him. It doesn't matter who is leading whom. And they finally reach that. And it all depends on your own inner strength and determination. There may be sannyasis who try to climb like that and fall. There may be grahasthas who will never reach that. But if you are determined, you will surely reach whichever the path. The householders, they take upon them a great discipline which sannyasins do not take upon them. For instance, here we have 2 children. They have to grow. Until they grow and they come to their own, their parents have to watch them, be helpful to them, rear them, guide them, attend to them. That's a great sadhana. A sannyasin has not that. He has not his son or daughter to care for. But then he may have the whole world to care for. That's quite a different thing. In one way, he has not an immediate responsibility to one child. But there are others to whom he makes himself also responsible. So these paths vary. They reach there. We made in the Indian way of life, 4 camps are made. First camp is of brahmacharya. When a child is born, the child is given to the mother. Mother is the guru of the child. For first 6 years or 5 years, 6 years, mother is the guru. And during those 6 years, the child learns all his vocabulary and his grammar, basic grammar, which takes him up to the very end of life. And he learns one, many, above, below, good, bad, all these things from the mother. Of course, father will be also around. And then from the mother, this is the old system I'm saying, not of the present one. Then the father takes over the child and teaches him till the age of 12. That is, the child's Upanayan is conducted. A samskara was given to him, how to chant mantras, how to learn the Vedic chantings, things like that. At the age of 12, he is passed on to the Guru. And then the next 12 years, Guru gives him both Brahma Vidya and Dharma Shastra. So he learns the Dharma, he learns about Brahman. That gives him a basic idea. First Dharma. And then he comes to give a meaning to his life through his desires. So Artha and Kama are put together. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So Artha and Kama are put together. Based on the Dharma which he learned from the Guru, he makes the means of life to live with a woman and to rear the family. So the man and woman who they together make that. That is the next camp called Garhastya. And when children are all come to something, one requirement given in most of the smritis is if you have a son, when the eldest son has taken a vocation, has settled down in a vocation, and he is capable of caring for his sister, the father and mother can retire. Or if the youngest is a daughter, the father should keep around till that daughter is given in marriage. So between the elder brother and the youngest daughter, all the responsibilities, when fulfilled, they go to the next camp. The third camp is Vanaprastha. And from the third camp, they also part company. Husband and wife also part company. And each goes into the self. Because by the time they become very familiar with the self, not that they should part company means should walk away from each other. They may be still sitting very close, but they don't see each other. They see only the self. So this looking for the self and finally recognizing it is what we call reaching it. Not there is no real climbing, or at the summit also, as St. John says, there is nothing, 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 nothing. So there is what is on the summit? Nothing, 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 nothing. Whatever is here is there also. And that is seeing the self. And when you see the self, you are called a sannyasi wherever you are. So it's not anything outside. If now you see the self first, you already become a sannyasi. And the other thing is only you assume to play the role, like a drama. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayo gadaha yoga yukto muni brahma najirena dhigacchadi. But renunciation, sannyasa, O mighty armed Arjuna, without yoga is full of pain to achieve. But one unitively harmonized yoga yukta of subdued ways without any delay attains the absolute Brahman. It is very difficult to attain the status of sannyasa until one becomes a yoga yukta. Yoga yukta is this: your vision becomes established in that continuous, contiguous reality in which everything else is subsisting. And if that common subsistence is once perceived, then sannyasa is easy. Until that is perceived, it's very difficult. We speak like moral and amoral. The sannyasi does not say, has nothing moral, but he knows what is immoral. But he is amoral. That means from the duality of Sad Asad, he transcends. It's called Sadasad Vilakshana. It is neither is or is not. So there is a transcendence. Because what we say is and what we say is not, that is only where the phenomenon is. Is not is also based on the is. First you have to say is before you say not. And he is established on that is. Then there comes a relative is and a relative is not. Those are of the phenomenal. So behind the phenomenal, he who sees experiences the nominal. See the word nomina and phenomena. Nomina is like the luminous. Something is shining on its own, self-sufficient, self-subsisting. And you feel it right here in your consciousness, in your very heart, in your very awareness. And you have to shift that center of existence to say this is, that is. So that is a flexible thing. It can be moved from your own consciousness to anywhere, in all space and all time. And this Virat or Vishwa itself is considered as having a vidhana. The sky is called a vidhana. Sky means not that. The all-filling space is a vidhana. And that is then to give a dimension to it. You imagine a nucleus, and from the nucleus up, down, right, left, coordinates. So this is called dik. Giving dik in Akasha. So Akasha is there, dik is there. Then you mark a vertical axis to it. Above you put a sun which is illuminating this phenomenal world. And below you put a fire that is consuming everything. To mark, you are like a fire which is always consuming. And there is a homogeneity between you and the fire above. So that marks you are the alpha and the sun is the omega. And then you give an adhisthana, the hard earth. Not the earth as such, but the impenetrability of the stand of existence on which you are established. And then a circulating principle of prana and a vital energy that fills all the living beings. Thus, the whole Vaishvanara is conceived, having 7 limbs. So these 7 limbs of the Vaishvanara fills the entire universe, and that entire universe is considered to be the body of that one existing reality. And like you experience your existence in your fingertip, at the end of your toe, crown of your head, tip of your nose, in any of the chakras where you can shift. Similarly, for the Vaishvanara, the consciousness can be in this body, can be in that body there, and in all the bodies. So it is as if there is only one body, one with different angas, different limbs. And all the limbs are to be taken together to understand its oneness. And like the one consciousness sitting in this body and experiencing from the different limbs, you identify yourself with Vaishvanara and also see your relationship with all. Then sannyasa is easy, when that kind of a yoga is established. And for that, various different unions are to be established. A process, a serialization of unions are to be established. So yoga is recommended. Yoga yukta vishuddhatma vijidatma jitendriya sarvabhudatma bhudatma kuruvanna vinalipyade. One affiliated to the unity way of life attained to lucidity of self, one of self-conquest, one who has gained a victory over the senses, whose self-existence has become the same as the self-existence of all, though active, is unaffected. So the victory over the senses, this is again and again repeated. There's two of them in Vedanta. We are taught to exercise Shama and Dhamma. There can be two possible distractions. One distraction is when an outside stimulus comes and distracts you. The other is an inside urge comes and distracts you. And the gateway for both could be the 5 sense perceptions and 5 actions of organs of action. These organs of action, they are directly related to the inner urges. And these outward senses, they also go and stimulate the inner urges. So if the eye sees something, the hand wants to do. And if the hand wants to do, the eye be directed to look at it. But if that man becomes his own master, then he is still in need of his 5 senses, he is still in need of the organs of action. So he is a master now. It's not because he has an urge, he is doing this. It's not because he saw something, he is drawn to it. But he, for the purpose of his own life, which he has programmed, he said, now I want to look at these things, because that's part of my program. And so the master is asking the senses to look and say, I am now using my senses to read. That is not a distraction, that is an attention. So wherever there is distraction, when they are substituted with attention, which is part of our Shraddha, then we have disciplined it, then we have mastered it. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijidatma jitendriya sarvabhudatma bhudatma kuruvanna vinalipyade. One affiliated to the unity way of life, attained to lucidity of self, one of self-conquest, one who has gained a victory over the senses, whose self-existence has become the same as the self-existence of all, though active is unaffected. Naiva kinchit karomidi yukto manyeda tattvavid Pashyan shrunvan sprishan jikran nasnan gachan swapan shosan pralavan visrajan grahnan unmishan nimishan nabi indriyan indriyartheshu vartante yiditharayan. I do nothing at all. Saying thus, he of unity ways, who is a philosopher too, should think And while seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, speaking, excreting, grasping, opening and closing the eyes, treating the senses to be merely related to their corresponding sense objects. This is what we earlier said, inactions, seeing inaction or non-action. Many activities are going on, but see, you see it only like the swaying of the branches of a tree when there is wind. The tree cannot but sway if there is a wind, part of nature. Similarly, this body is requiring many things and all these things are happening. And you are only like one who is witnessing. And also you participate to that extent where your mind is required there. And then how do you live? Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tektva karodi yaha lipyadena sapapena padmapatram ivambhasa. Padmapatram, a lotus leaf in which is lying in water. It is not made wet by the water underneath. It is not made wet by the water which is over it, but it is all the time living in the water. So we live in this world. The world is below us, the world is above us. But we get after some time a power not to be affected. We don't have to sit always only in a cave to be away from the world. You can be right in the center of the world with all the activities going on. But the clarity of seeing the all-pervading self becomes more and more. So you attend to all these things with the minimum required outward attention. Inwardly you are always in a state of samadhi. This is called Sahaja Samadhi. But when we say Sahaja Samadhi, again we think of some sort of a religious character. Not like that. Sahaja, a state of which has come to, a model that has come to stay with you, a consciousness that has come to stay with you. You feel at ease with it. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindrayiravi yoginah karma kuruvandi sangam tektatma shuddhaye. By the body, by the mind, by intelligence, and even by the senses alone, yogis engage in action, abandoning attachment for purposes of the purity of self. So action can go on sometimes just at the body level. A man may be bicycling and that he may be thinking of a serious problem, and he may be passing many curves of the familiar road through which he goes, and he does not even know that he was bicycling. Only when there is a confrontation comes he knows. And if you are always driving in the same road where you are driving, you even forget that you are driving. So the body can conduct a thing, work, and your mind need not be there. And sometimes your mind is at work, body is not working. And that You are not conscious of what is going on. Sometimes the senses are functioning, but you don't put your intellect there, or your mind there. And sometimes all this can do, and still that takes only minimal awareness of you. The maximal you can put in your yoga. Yoga does not mean there that you are tearing yourself away from the mainstream of life. What appears at first as the mainstream of life becomes a secondary aspect. The mainstream of life is the very cosmos itself. How the cosmos is going on and on and on and on. That thing is which is existent in the star and the sun, which is existent in you, and the idea this. That is the mainstream. It is going on manifesting and manifesting and manifesting. And you are in that stream. And out of that, it's a little story that we make out of our personal life and family life. But we think that's the mainstream. But after some time it becomes less. Yuktah karmaphalam tektva shantimapnoti naishtigim ayuktah kamakarena bhale sakto nibadhyate. The one of unity of discipline, yukta, discarding benefit motive, attains to unity of peace. The one of unity of discipline, being desire motivated, attached to result, is bound. You hear these words naishtiki and shanti. There has to be a nishtha. That's the discipline part of it. If you have taken upon you a life program which is in conformity with seeing the Absolute in all, everywhere, all the time, then to keep that resolve always at the same pressure, not less, not more. You don't exaggerate it. And at the same time, you do not make it any time lukewarm. Becoming over enthusiastic for 5 minutes or 5 days, then leaving it aside, and then feel frustrated and look for another thing. There is no nishtha. There is no peace. So personally, I feel always so fortunate that I have come under the discipline of a Guru who had taken upon him the elucidation of the teaching of his Guru, and who took upon him the elucidation of the teaching of the essential teaching of Vedanta. And so I saw in my Guru a nishtha. Whether he was traveling, staying somewhere, he never put off a work because he was traveling. He will continue the work in the train, he will continue the work in the plane, he will continue the work in the ship. If he is writing, he will be writing the same thing till he finishes it. Over years, take a program and let it go over years. And at home, outside, with people whom he meets, there is no distraction. In the case of Nadaraj Guru, sometimes we had totally unexpected guests, and Guru may be in the middle of writing something which is of not any interest to a common man. For instance, for 2 years he was so much lost in formulating a scheme for unified thinking, where scientists and literary people like poets and others, artists and musicians, they could all come together in one way scheme of thinking. So finding a kind of a logic for universal thinking. And he was breaking his heart, so to say, on this task, getting books from all over the world on linguistics and semantics, and he was studying Eastern books like Vakyavrti, things like that. And he was reading Wittgenstein and Moore, Marshall, like that. And then comes these guests. They come from Calicut or Tellicherry or some place where they had never heard of such problems or such issues. But at the where he is cutting vegetables for the morning, or at the puja time, and when we are sitting around with the same people, he would take up the same problem. And then he brings it to that level of almost their appreciation, but he will never leave the problem. He will continue the problem and discuss it with them. And it was amazing how he was holding on to that. And this gave me the idea of nishtha. If you want to have rest, you can rest. And nishtha I had taken upon me so that I won't rest any time in a way that I break away from the work. I retire from one work to another work. I have four writing going on simultaneously. I am writing Gita Swadhyaya now in Malayalam. I am going from one Upanishad to another Upanishad, and the translation of Narayana Guru's Shiva Shatakam, and another of my more lighter book. So I write, and when I am tired of doing one work, I close that and take the other work. Then I am resting, so far as the first work is concerned. But I am continuing. So this nishtha is always kept up. It is not only about the work, the nishtha has to be in everything. If you have a relationship with a person, that is also a nishtha. You should not, in the middle of it, change it. You say, oh, I have made a mistake of telling you that my relationship with you is such and such. Now I changed my mind. Then how can we have anything? There is no nishtha. Either I should not get into it, and if I get into it, then I should be consistent. There is some friendship should be for all time, not according to our whims and fancies. Then we get shanti. Suppose now I have established a friendship with Dr. Pillai and his family. Even before Anil was born, I came here, and Anil was not at born. Now how many years have gone? And before that, he was my classmate. So over these years, did anything happen to strain our relationship? No. But our mutual faith only increases. But that cannot be if you exaggerate any time. If I try to show anything which is unreal as in my relationship, then I won't be able to keep it up. But if I am real, I don't have to play any drama. So this is from their side also. Result is We get a lot of peace when we meet. And if you have to put a front, always you are disturbed. Because you know you are not, whether you are doing it in a pleasing way or a non-pleasing way, you cannot take anything for granted. But when you are such friends, there is a nishtha in your friendship. Shanti is sure to follow. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Relinquishing by means of the mind all activities. The embodied one sits happily, a victor, in the nine-gated city, neither acting nor causing to act. So here, and if you give this picture, day or night, the self is residing in a nine-gated city. The nine gates are the nostrils, the ears, the two eyes, the mouth, and the genital, the anus. So the body is like a city. The more and more you think about the body as a city, you'll be really amazed, because it has everything of a city in it. It has a telegraph system, and it has a public relations system, it has studios in it, and it has a sound system. So there are museums in it and libraries in it. The brain itself is like a big library containing many other references. And it has a pumping system and marketplace and kitchen place, lavatories, everything is in it. But he becomes a victor there, a Jeta. That is something hard to achieve, and once you achieve it, that has become the fulfillment. When we have come to a certain stage in our life and we can think, I have done, I don't have anything more to do, things are just going on. Like the reeling of a rotation of a wheel with its own force, things are going on. And I don't have anything to perform. Whatever is to be known is known. Be achieved is achieved. Then there comes this great peace. You become a victor. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते. The Supreme does not generate either the idea of agency or activity in regard to the world, nor the union of action and benefit. The innate urge in being, however, exerts itself. You say, I am not doing anything. Suppose we take a little example like you are eating. And when you eat, do you also go there and digest it? Do you also split up, break up what you have eaten and change them into the various constituents of the body to replenish the cells? You are not doing anything. All these are done for you. Without your knowledge, all these are done for you. And similarly, these activities are also done for you. Only that there is an accompanying consciousness there, that should not make any difference. Mahadatte kasyajit pabam Nataiva sugridam vibhuhu ajnanena avridam jnanam tena muhyandi jandavaha. The all-pervading one takes cognizance neither of the sinful nor of the meritorious actions of anyone. Wisdom is veiled by unwisdom. Beings are deluded thereby. So Papa and Punya, it is not the concern of the Absolute. Only up to your mind level that is happening. All the phenomenal functions of you from the senses to the mind, that is happening Papa and Punya. Beyond that, nothing. So the conditionings of Papa and Punya which leads you to hell and heaven. Where is the hell and heaven? Where the mind is, there is hell and heaven. Not beyond that. I have made a story of my own to illustrate this. Most of them have heard this many times. I was very fond of telling the story. The story is that two people were living together. One man thought he was living a very saintly life, and the other man thought he was living a very sinful life. On one and the same day, both of them died, and then their souls started ascending. And then the sinful man became very much frightened. He said, "Oh, I thought as a sinful man when I die I will go to hell, and then I won't have a chance to look into God's eyes." He was more afraid of looking into God's eyes than going to hell. He said, "All right, I am sinful. I'll go and escape in the hell. I don't have to look at God's face. But now I am ascending. What does it mean? Is God going to look into my eyes now? How would I face Him?" So he had all this great, his heart was palpitating and he had big panic, fear. And the saint thought, this is unjust, injustice. How the sinful man is now going with me to God? So perhaps my notions are wrong about God and heaven and other things. Otherwise, this fellow is also now coming with me. He didn't want him to go with him. Anyway, finally both came to the presence of God. God just stretched his hands and said, "Come on, children, how wonderful you are here." And they looked into each other's eyes, not trusting what is happening. Then the saint could not stop by that. He thought we should call the attention of the secretary of God for the fact that this fellow is a sinful fellow and I am a saint. How that my merits are not recognized more above his merits, his demerits. So he turned to the secretary and asked, "How come that? Do you not keeping accounts here, proper accounts?" Then God said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" The secretary said, "This fellow says that he wanted to know if you are keeping accounts." "Oh, don't you have our big book?" "Yes, bring it." So the book was brought. "And show them the pages." And then he turned one page and showed this saint, and the saint looked at that page. Nothing was written. It was all a golden page. Not in his name was also not there. And he was told that was his page. And he did many meritorious things, like building temples and making satrams, many things. Nothing was recorded. But the sinful man also wanted to have one glance at what he did. And he was shown his page, which was next to one. That is another golden page. Nothing was written there. Not even his name. So he was amazed. God smiled, looking at their perplexity. Why did God smile? They were intrigued. God said, take them all to their dwelling place. Then they asked why that thing was written there. And then the secretary said, children, your sins and non-sins have a relevancy only there on earth. In God's place, this is a place of joy and wonder, and we don't care for your silliness. So nothing is recorded. So it's only at the mind level of man we have Papa and Punya. And at the mind level, you cannot get out of your mind. You see, that's the trouble. And so you will suffer. If you do bad thing, you will suffer because it's in the mind level and you don't get out of the mind. Only when once you get to the self, the Atman, you are freed from the mind. Till that you have to suffer. So here God says, Nakartrutam Nadate kasyachit pavam Nachaivam sukritam vipuhu Ajnanena avridam jnanam Tena muhyandi jandavaha. So Andy was trying to illustrate all this kind of good and terrible things which are happening at the mind level. Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashidamattmanaha yesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Those, however, in whom that wisdom in the self has been destroyed, to those wisdom shines sunlike as the ultimate. Tad buddhayas tadatmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gacchantya panuravritti jnana nirdhuda kanmasha. Those having that absolute for reasoning, that for the self, that for finalized discipline, that for supreme goal, they go to a state of final non-return, all their relativistic draws being cancelled out by wisdom. The tad. Here it is said, tad buddhayaha, tad atmanaha, tad nishtaha, tad parayanaha. There is one tad which is given everywhere. They say tad padartha, tvam padartha, tattvajnana. Philosophy is called tattvajnana, the jnana of tat and tvam. There is a tat there. And you tat tamasi. The tat is taken to meditate, and that tat is a golden thread which is going through all this. And you have this nishtha. For that nishtha, you have a buddhi which is conjoined with an atma, conjoined with the self, which keeps you steady. And that steadfastness, whatever you are doing, being steadfast in it, non-shirking. See, we have stories of Savitri. Savitri has chosen probably a wrong person to marry, to love, a person who was meant to be short-lived. But that wouldn't dissuade her. Everybody tried to change her mind, but she said no. I have chosen this, and so I stand by that. It's your choice when you stand. That becomes a nishtha. Your buddhi is conjoined because you are seeing only truth in it. And if you are seeing the only truth in it, that truth pervades and extends to everything else. Then, after going, there is no punira, no circulation. Vidya Vinaya Sambanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shobhakecha Pandidaha Samadarshinaha. In regard to a Brahmin endowed with learning or humility, a cow, an elephant, and even a dog, as also one who cooks dog for food, the well-informed one's Pandita sees the same differenceless reality. Here, a cow is shown here, a dog is shown here, elephant, a Brahmana, and one who eats even a dog. But this is shown here like a cake. It's made in a confectionery out of the same dough, the same flour, the same sugar. All these are made into one. Only in their form they are different. But each one can suggest to you a different concept. The idea that comes to you by looking at the cow is not the same that comes when you look at an elephant. It's not the same when you look at the dog and the Brahmana. Only the baker knows that he baked the whole thing out of the same thing. Says, yes, Samadarshi here, and he was clever to put a candle on the nose of the man who looks also, to show that he is also part of the same conviction. Not only the cakes have a candle, the man who is looking at also is having a candle, to show that he is also part of it. This Samadarshitva, that creates a lot of confusion in people's mind. That does not mean that you cannot distinguish between a dog and an elephant. Sri Ramakrishna gives very beautiful stories of say when an elephant was gone mad and it was going amok, the Mahat cried out to a man, a sannyasi who was sitting and meditating, run away, the elephant is mad. But he thought elephant is Brahman. So why run away? Just sit there. He is meditating on Brahman anyway, and so this elephant is also Brahman. But the elephant came and trampled upon him. And his guru asked, why did you not run away when the Mahat said the elephant was mad? He said, but you said everything is Brahman, and so I thought elephant was also Brahman. And then the Guru asked, but was not the Mahat also Brahman? Brahman asked you to run away, why did you not run away? The other story is of Shankaracharya himself, that the king of Kashi Raja, he wanted to experiment with Shankaracharya's theory of that everything is Maya. And so he asked an elephant to be turned against Shankara. But Shankara, with the agility of a youngster, he was a young man, he climbed a tree, and this was to the great amusement of the king. Afterwards the king asked, oh great Acharyaji, how come that with your theory of Maya, you scrambled and got on the tree when the elephant came? Then he said, which elephant? There was a Mayavic elephant which came in Maya, and this Mayavic person in a Maya got on a Maya tree. It's all just appearing to be. But in the Vyavahara, he did not forget that even the Maya should climb immediately. And there is wisdom. So this one and the many, it may look like contradictions, but there is no contradiction if you know where to place the Paramartha and where to place the Vyavahara. The link between the Vyavahara and the Paramartha should be so properly conceived and understood. Otherwise we may make many mistakes. Ihaiva tairjita sargo yesham samye stidam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Even here, creative urges are conquered by those whose minds are balanced in sameness, free from blemish, and unitively balanced is indeed the Absolute. Therefore, such person become grounded in the Absolute. So here itself, those people who have equalized their mind, they have already escaped samsara and they are remaining in the Absolute. It's not that death should come and finish up their business. Death can come whenever it comes. Na praharshyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya ja priyam stira buddhirasam mudho brahmaved brahmani sthidaha. He may not rejoice on good befalling him, nor be disturbed on a mishap. Stabilized in reason, delusion free, as knower of the Absolute, firmly established he in the Absolute. Bahyasparsheshvasaktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamakshaya asnude. The same joy which is felt by one in his own self when he is unattached to outer contact such as touch, in whose self has established unity with the Absolute experiences, also never decreasing. Relinquishing action in terms of external activity, which was hitherto the subject of the chapter, is now conclusively dealt with in this last section. The basis of relinquishment is in discarding external contacts through touch and other senses. Contemplation involves, in the first instance, introversion applied to the outgoing senses. The horses have to be curbed by proper reins. As soon as the curbing is accomplished, a new order of consciousness is initiated, which is here referred to by the high-sounding phrase Brahma Yoga. In the Atmapadesha Shadaka of Narayana Guru, there's one verse which says that our life is mounted on a chariot of the libido, and the ego in us or the person in us is always looking for a pleasure trip, and he sees a pleasure in objects. So the senses, like horses, are made to chase after that, and thus we are continuously chasing after pleasurable objects. A correction is given to this and says, Olimudala പഴമഞ്ചുമുണ്ട് നാറും അടികയിലേറി നയേന മാറിയാടും കിളികളെ അഞ്ചുമരിഞ്ഞ് കീഴ്മറിക്കും വെളിപുരുവേന്തി അകം വിളങ്ങിടാണ്. That is, when our senses are cunningly trying to go after pleasure seeking with your viveka, discrimination, shoot them all down in such a way that their value sense is turned reversed. Instead of seeing the value outside, it should be so reversed that it sees all the value in the self. Beautiful object, but then sees beauty as an ananda of the self. So you see only the self, the projection of your own self, and not an object. And when you see that it is your own self out there as a beautiful object, it's already yours, so you don't have to run after it. If it is alien, then you have to run after. But it is not alien, it is your own. You are seeing only your own beauty. And it's there, and you appreciate it, you admire it. So admiration is still there. But it does not cause any disruption in this world. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न देहेषु रमते बुधः. Those contact-born pleasures indeed are the sources, wombs of pain, having a beginning and an end. O son of Kunti, the wise man does not take pleasure in them. You see, a whole period is given in life for a person to live with the objects and know what you gain from that. Only when you experience that it is alpha, you get a little pressure. Tuchha. You make a contrast to it, what is called bhauma. What is bhauma? If I experience something and I think I should experience a little more of it, that means what I have experienced is tuchha, is small. Bhauma is when I am once I reached that, I am always there. There is so one should have bhauma. When you come towards the end of the Chandogya Upanishad, slowly your mind is led from your varieties of tuchha, varieties of small pleasures, including swargas, you are brought to bhauma. Shaknodi haiva yasodham prag sharira vimokshanat kama krodhodbhavam vegam sayuktaha sasukhi naraha. He who is able to experience undisturbed here itself before liberation from the body, that impulse arising out of desire and hatred, he is the unified and he is the happy man. So these are certain verses which are very good for meditation. Just keep it in our mind and repeat it. And unknowingly we will find we are conforming to that, and slowly that becomes our model. Yo andasukho andararama tadhandarjyodirevayah sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhudodhigacchati. He of inward happiness, whose inner life is free and easy, and likewise of inward brilliance, he also of unity of understanding, he having become the Absolute, he enters the self-effacement of the Absolute. Earlier we shown here a picture of how a man sits in the nine-gated city. Here he is not seeking anything outside. because quite inside him, he himself is inside him. Everything is inside. There is no outside at all. And he has this full comprehension of he as an insider and everything is an insider. And when you have that oneness, soul knowledge, this is overall awareness. And it is just my awareness. And then comes Anda Sukha, Andar Arama, and you find all your rest within yourself. Andar Jyoti, within you there is this light. Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam. In the Municharya Panchaka of Narayana Guru, he says, when a Muni lives on the banks of a river, or in his own home, or in a forest, where does he live? His mind lives in the absolute Brahman. What aim he has in life? He has only one aim. Tattvamasya Lakshyam. His Lakshyam is Tattvamasya. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishayah Kshinaganmashaha Chinnadvaidha Yadatmanaha Sarvabhudahide Radaha. Seers, their evils weakened, cutting themselves away from conflicting pairs of interest, who are self-controlled, who are ever kindly disposed to all beings, attain to self-effacement, nirvana, in the absolute Brahman. Sarvabhuta Hide Radaha. That is the sign of the great person. Of all Buddhas, she lives according to their Hita. Not that he is making them, he is an entertainer of everything. What is good to each person, what is good to each being, he caters to that. The good that is catered to you may make you cry or make you agitated, but it is only meant for your good. It is the Hita. Sarvabhuta Hide. Kama Krodha Viyuktanam Yadinam Yadachedasam Abhido Brahma Nirvanam Vartade Vididatmanam. To those disjoined from desire and anger, those self-controlled ones whose vital consciousness is subdued, who are also knowers of the self, self-effacement in the absolute lies near at hand. So that is a yati. He has a yachedas, which is also of a restrained nature. And he is free of kama and krodha. And therefore, Brahma Nirvana becomes natural to him. Sparshan krutva behar bahyam chachuchaiva andare bhru pranabano samau krutva nasyabhyandaracharino yedendriya mano buddhir munir moksha parayana vigadecha bhaya krodho yasada muktaeva saha. Having peripherally discarded outward factors such as touch, and also with eyes fixed between the eyebrows, equalizing the positive outward prana and negative inward apana, vital tendencies moving within the nasal orifice. Here, fixing the gaze at the ajna and also equalizing the prana is bringing oneself to an absolute neutral center, but keeping that neutrality established on the Ajna, because Ajna is the one chakra where our consciousness is functioning. And below that, from the deep unconscious, we are rising up to the conscious level. And we are presiding just at the junction between the unconscious and the conscious. And all the experiences that are going on are connected with the prana, and therefore we equalize the prana and bring it to a neutral center, keeps it at the Ajna chakra, and then be as silent as possible. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhudanam jnatva mam shanti mrichadi. Having known me as the enjoyer of ritual sacrifices, the acceptor of austerities, the great Lord of all worlds and the friend of all beings, one reaches peace. And with this, we are entering into the next chapter, which is Dhyana Yoga. This is the closing of the Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.